Okay, I decided to do another reading video. This is the book that I'm reading now, Octavia Butler's Parable of the Talents. Um, this is a two-book series. So the previous book was Parable of the Sower, and I just wanted to read this excerpt. I'm actually past this part, but I thought that I would still just read it anyways. Okay. Then the war just petered out. At first, there was much fighting, much destruction, much screaming and flag waving. Then gradually, over 2034, a terrible, bitter weariness seemed to creep over people. Poor families saw their sons drafted and killed, as they said, for nothing. It was harder than ever to buy decent food. Much of our grain over the past few years of climate change and chaos had been imported from Canada, after all. In the end, in late 2034, peace talks began. After that, except for a lot of hard feelings and occasional nasty incidents, the war was over. The border between Canada and America stayed where it had been, and Alaska remained an independent country. It was the first state to officially, completely, successfully succeed from the Union. People were saying that Jarrett's home state of Texas would be next. In less than a year, Jarrett went from being our savior, almost the second coming in some people's minds, to being an incompetent son of a bitch who was wasting our substance on things that didn't matter. I don't mean that everyone changed their feelings toward him. Many people never did. My adopted parents never did, even though he cost them a beautiful, intelligent, loving daughter. I grew up hearing about that daughter endlessly. Her name was Kamaria, and she was perfect. I know this because my mother told me about her at least once during every day of my childhood. I could never look as good as Kamaria did, or straighten my room as well, or do as well with my studies, or even clean a toilet as well. Although I find it difficult to believe the perfect little bitch ever cleaned a toilet or used one. I didn't know I was still bitter enough to write a thing like that. I shouldn't be. It's foolish to hate someone you've never met, someone who's never harmed you. I believe now that I shifted my resentment safely onto Kamaria, who wasn't there, so that at least until my adolescence I could love Alexander. She was, after all, the only mother I knew. Kamaria Alexander died in a missile attack on Seattle when she was 11 years old, and my adopted parents never stopped blaming and hating the Canadians in their grief for her. But they never blamed Jarrett, that good man, that fine man, that man of God. Casey talked that way. So did her friends when she finally moved back to them in Seattle, where her neighborhood and her church were scarred, but still standing. Madison Alexander barely spoke at all. He murmured agreement with whatever Casey said, and he felt me up a lot. But apart from that, he was quiet. My strongest memory of him when I was 4 or 5 was of him picking me up, putting me in his lap, and feeling me. I didn't know why I didn't like this. I just learned early to stay out of his way as much as I could. So basically, this is supposed to be set in the future, obviously, and in this future, America, or the world is going through climate change, but in this America, they elect this president, and basically, one of his running campaign slogans is "Let's make America great again." And basically, the world was changed in so many ways because of the climate change and the political unrest and just a lot of different things. I think there was also like some sort of outbreak of diseases and stuff. So I'll just read the back part. Lauren Olamina's love is divided among her young daughter, her community, and the revelation that led Lauren to find a new faith that teaches God is change. But in the wake of environmental and economic chaos, the U.S. government turns a blind eye to violent bigots who consider the mere existence of a black female leader a threat. And soon, Lauren must either sacrifice her child and her followers or forsake the religion that can transform human destiny. So it's really most of the stories that I've read from Octavia Butler, they really make you think. They're usually set in the future or some sort of science fiction aspect to it. And of course, her protagonists are usually black females who I can see myself in or identify with. And there's parallels to a lot of the stuff that's happening in the books in our world, which is pretty much anything that you read, you can find truths and parallels to. So I don't know, people were really commenting on this story because of that whole "Let's Make America Great Again" thing and what's going on right now in our political climate here in America. But I don't really like to talk politics because it can get so divisive, and people are really passionate about their beliefs, and that's good, but that's not what I'm about to sit here and talk about either. So yeah, it's a good book. You should check it out. I'm almost finished with it. I'm actually on page 268, 269, one of those two. And the book is about the book is about 408 pages long. So super close to the end. I'll probably be finished with this in the next couple of days. It's so good. I usually just read it when when I have a break at work and it's not that busy. But this is so good that I might actually just read some today. I may be finished by tonight. I just love to read, especially when the story is interesting and it just takes you away. So, yeah, that's my video. All right. Peace.